In the heart of winter, during the year 1570, the ancient and prosperous city of Novgorod found itself at the center of one of the most chilling episodes in Russian history. The Novgorod Massacre, a name forever etched into the chronicles of the nation, unfolded under the iron rule of Tsar Ivan IV, known to history as Ivan the Terrible. His reign, already notorious for its relentless pursuit of absolute power and its climate of suspicion, reached new and horrifying heights as he turned his gaze toward Novgorod, a city famed for its wealth, independence, and proud traditions of self-governance. For centuries, Novgorod had been a beacon of trade and culture, its markets bustling with merchants from across Europe and Asia. Its citizens valued their autonomy, maintaining a unique form of local government that stood in stark contrast to the centralizing ambitions of Moscow. But in the turbulent mid-16th century, as Ivan IV grew increasingly isolated and paranoid, such independence came to be seen not as an asset, but as a threat. The seeds of destruction were sown by rumors and whispers, claims that Novgorod's leaders were plotting treason, seeking to align themselves with Lithuania, a rival power to the west. Whether these suspicions had any basis in fact has long been debated by historians, but to Ivan IV, consumed by distrust and a desire to stamp out any hint of opposition, they were more than enough. He resolved to make an example of Novgorod, to eradicate what he perceived as a nest of rebellion, and to send a warning to all who might dream of defying his rule. To carry out his will, Ivan unleashed the Oprichnina, his personal army of enforcers whose very name struck terror into the hearts of Russians everywhere. Clad in black, riding black horses, and bearing the emblem of a severed dog's head and broom, a symbol of their role in rooting out treachery and sweeping it away, the Oprichniki were infamous for their brutality. Their master had granted them absolute authority, and in Novgorod they would wield it without restraint. In January 1570, Ivan and his Oprichnina arrived at the city's gates. What followed was not a mere military campaign, but a systematic campaign of terror. For weeks, the city endured horrors almost beyond comprehension. The Oprichniki swept through the streets, rounding up anyone suspected of disloyalty: nobles, clergy, merchants, and ordinary citizens alike. Torture became an everyday occurrence, as desperate men and women were forced to confess to crimes they had never committed, or to implicate others in imagined plots. Executions were carried out with macabre creativity and public spectacle. Many victims were drowned in the icy waters of the Volkhov River, dragged from their homes and monasteries, bound in chains, and thrown from the bridges. Others were burned alive or impaled, or subjected to tortures too gruesome to describe in detail. The cries of the condemned echoed through the city's churches and squares, mingling with the clangor of bells and the shouts of the Oprichniki as they carried out their grim work. No institution was spared. Monasteries, long revered as centers of faith and learning, were ransacked and desecrated. Icons and treasures, some of which had been cherished for generations, were seized or destroyed. Homes were stripped of valuables. Entire families were wiped out, their names erased from the records. The city's once thriving economy was shattered as merchants were slain or fled for their lives and trade ground to a halt. The scale of the massacre is difficult to comprehend. Contemporary accounts vary, and the true number of the dead may never be known. Some chronicles speak of tens of thousands of victims, their bodies filling the streets and riverbanks, while others suggest lower, though still staggering, tallies. What is certain is that Novgorod, once a jewel of Russia, was left a shadow of its former self. Its population was decimated, its buildings scarred by fire and violence, its spirit broken. For Ivan IV, the massacre was both a demonstration of his absolute power and a warning to the rest of the realm. He had shown that no one, not even the most illustrious and independent of cities, could escape his wrath. Yet the price of this victory was enormous, not only for Novgorod, but for Russia as a whole. The destruction of Novgorod's autonomy and prosperity weakened the nation's economic and cultural fabric, and the memory of the massacre would haunt Russian society for generations. Historians have long debated the motivations and psychology behind Ivan's actions. Some see in the Novgorod Massacre a manifestation of his deep-seated paranoia, a ruler so consumed by fear of betrayal that he struck out at his own people, destroying what he most needed to protect. Others interpret it as part of a broader pattern, a grim logic of terror meant to consolidate power and suppress dissent by any means necessary. Whatever the explanation, the consequences were devastating. The Novgorod Massacre stands not only as a singular atrocity, but as a symbol of the dangers of unchecked power and the corrosive effects of suspicion and fear. It is a reminder of how quickly the bonds of trust and community can be torn apart when rulers abandon justice and compassion in favor of violence and coercion. In the aftermath, Novgorod would never fully recover its former glory. The city's role as a major center of commerce and culture faded, and its population declined for decades. The massacre became a cautionary tale, retold by those who survived and by the generations that followed, a testament to the horrors that can be unleashed when power is wielded without mercy and when paranoia and cruelty become the guiding principles of a nation's leaders. Looking back across the centuries, the tragedy of Novgorod continues to resonate. It challenges us to consider the responsibilities of authority, the value of human life, and the enduring importance of justice and restraint. The dark winter of 1570 serves as a stark warning that even the greatest cities and most vibrant communities can be brought low by violence and fear, and that history will remember not only the deeds of rulers, but the suffering of their victims. Subscribe to our channel for more gripping stories of power, betrayal, and bloodshed that shaped world history.